Last week, I asked you why things that photosynthesize produce things that humans and living creatures need, and then why do we produce things that only plants can use? This week, we're going to figure that out. The short answer, nutrient cycles. The long answer is going to take the rest of this video to find out. Hopefully, we've all heard of the water cycle before. The water cycle makes it possible for us to go kayaking on a beautiful lake or hang out on a rainy day like today. The water cycle, just like other nutrient cycles, makes it possible for us to reuse or recycle all the nutrients that the earth has ever had on it.
It's this same water cycle that lets me drink recycled dinosaur pee. This dino needs to get hydrated.
Step 1 of the water cycle is evaporation. The sun heats up water in streams, lakes, oceans, and even puddles. When that water gets heated up, it turns into a gas and floats up into the sky. Step 2 of the water cycle is condensation. This comes after evaporation, when the water rises up into the sky and cools in the form of clouds. Step 3 of the water cycle, known as precipitation, is when water up in the sky finally falls to Earth. Step 4 of the water cycle is percolation. It's when the water seeps into the ground and the Earth can store it and use it for later. Step 5 is transpiration, and that's how plants use water for photosynthesis. Some of it gets let out into the atmosphere, some of it gets stored in the plant, some of it gets eaten by people like me who like to eat plants. Steps allow for water to get cleaned of pollutants so it can be reused over and over and over again with every living thing on Earth. Wow! Water isn't the only nutrient that needs to get recycled throughout the globe. Living things need lots of nutrients to be able to thrive. One of these nutrients that gets cycled throughout our Earth is carbon. We're going to start with the carbon cycle in the air in the form of CO2. Plants intake CO2. We talked about that. Plants breathe in CO2. So, plants. After the plants take that out of the air, things like you and me, we eat plants. Yum! When we exhale carbon dioxide, that releases CO2 back into the air. There are 2 other options for carbon to get back into the earth after we've eaten plants. It's a little something I like to call poop or die.
Ruby, want to hear a fun fact? Cows eat a lot of plants, and like all living things, that food eventually starts a rumbling. Cow gas city. Cow farts actually release carbon back into the atmosphere. And humans. And yes, we get it, yours too.
So carbon can get back into the earth or the air after we digest certain foods, or if we defecate or in our fecal matter, but also if we die. That's the second way carbon can get back. We can either break down, which releases carbon back, or we can be made into fossil fuels.
Sometimes when things die, they get buried real deep in the ground, and all the earth around it creates a whole bunch of pressure. This creates what we know as fossil fuels. Fossil fuels are made of lots of different substances that contain carbon. We burn these different fuels to give us heat and make factories work and make cars run and planes fly. When these are burned, carbon in the form of CO2 gets put back into the atmosphere.
The carbon cycle is necessary for all living things on Earth, but it can get thrown off balance if there's too much CO2 in the air and our plant friends just can't keep up with it. Too much CO2 in the air can lead to an unhealthy Earth and is otherwise known as climate change. We've talked about climate change in older units, but it can lead to rising temperatures, more storms, extinction, and the destruction of our oceans. So we're going to talk about one more nutrient cycle, my personal favorite. The nitrogen cycle. Journey begins in the air, just like our friend the carbon cycle. But we don't breathe in nitrogen, and you don't breathe in nitrogen, so how do we get it out of the air? Our first option is bacteria. Bacteria in the soil can take nitrogen from the air and put it into the ground where plants can use it. Pretty cool. We can also get nitrogen into the soil by lightning. Which is crazy. Lightning takes nitrogen in the air, and when it strikes, splits nitrogen apart so it can fall to the earth with the rain. What? And then it's in the soil? That's crazy. Earth is crazy. If you don't think that's cool, you're wrong. Once nitrogen is in the soil, plants can drink it up with their roots. Once plants have nitrogen in them, we can eat them. Then once the nitrogen's in us, how does it get back into the air? If you guessed poop or die, you're right. When organisms poop or they die, either their fecal matter or their dead bodies get decomposed by bacteria, which takes the nitrogen and turns it into a gas to be brought back into the sky, thus completing the entire nitrogen cycle. These 3 examples we've talked about are not the only examples of nutrient cycling on Earth. If you are interested in learning more about it, you could check out the phosphorus cycle or the oxygen cycle, 2 elements we all still need to live. Similarly to listening to one of the greatest soundtracks of all time, The Lion King. This video should have taught you we're all connected. We need to recycle nutrients and resources in order for everybody to survive, plants, animals, you name it. And good luck with virtual learning week 7. You got this. The end is near. I believe in you. Miss you. Love you. You got this.